Hello, Connective. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Subscribe, comment, and like without smashing anything, and let's get into this energy. This is a collective reading for Taurus. Taurus, I've already gotten your overlying and underlying energies from the Akashic deck and from the Universal Law deck. They were jumpers, and I got two overlying energies out of the Akashic deck and two overlying energies out of the Universal Law deck and two underlying energies from the Akashic deck and two underlying energies from the Universal Law deck. So interestingly enough, with all those cards that came out, they almost kind of go in pairs. So we're going to talk about that, which is very interesting because as I said that, the door of romance popped out. So let's see what else is going on. I would like 3 or 4 more cards, please. 3 or 4 more cards for Taurus here today to help us with this story. Okay. Kind of would like 1 more, please. 1 more. 1 more card for Taurus, please. I'm going to pull it. I'm just going to pull it. All right. What did I pull? Oh, interesting. Okay. We'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know what these other cards are. I see the garden. Oh, well, it makes sense with one of these other cards. Okay, so Taurus, for your overlying energy, let's just do them in the pairs. It makes more sense. So for the first card from the Akashic deck, we have the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant usually talks about how we're on track with our karmic purpose kind of thing, like whatever we're doing or whatever's happening, it's right on track with what we planned out for ourselves. Sometimes I feel like this card can come out when we don't really necessarily feel like we're on track because the thing that might be happening might be so devastating that it kind of makes us feel like something else is going on in our life, like maybe our life is just one big disruption and not necessarily like on any kind of course. I feel like when the on track card comes out, it's like for people who know their life is on a course kind of thing. I feel like for this is telling you that whatever's going on, whatever's happening in your life, it's part of the purpose of something that you planned for yourself. It has it's either a factor in supposing to affect some kind of change in your life, or it's a contributing factor to a factor that's supposed to change something in your life. And then you have the law of tithing, which is expand your consciousness and all things will be added. This is from the Universal Law deck. So I feel like it's interesting that it's these two cards together kind of tell me that, you know, when things are going a certain way, regardless of like how they're happening, kind of like how I've been saying, that depending on how we look at it, that situation can go a bunch of ways. And depending on how we look at it, that situation could be perceived as perceived a bunch of different ways. And those two things are totally separate in each other in the way that they give some kind of relief in the fact that when you're dealing with something, you're not making your situation worse, right? You're not affecting your situation in a negative way. So for the overlying energy, also from the Akashic deck, we got the Sands of Time. This is the 6 of Scrolls, right? So this card talks about how like the time has run out of the hourglass. Like I think it's behind him. No, it's in front of him. He's looking at it. So he's kind of like rolling his sleeves up to get back to work. Like he's been sort of taking a breath, but the sands are already out. And then the funny thing is that what came out with it from the Universal Law deck was the Law of Time. And that says you have the ability to bend time with the power of perception. So again, I feel like we're talking about how this time that this time that's run out, like we kind of had control of that, like we sort of made it that way. It's the whole reason why we kind of waited for the sands to run out of the hourglass before we rolled up our sleeves. We were just like, we were doing it in our own time kind of way. Like the reason why if there was any kind of delay whatsoever, it's because we did that kind of thing. So on track and expanding your perception so you can see greater things, but also holding back a little bit, right? And then for this underlying energy, we have the Willow, which is the 2 of Forces. Now the Willow is like this, you know, strength, this epitome of like stability and sturdiness, right? So this is the energy that you're supposed to embody as you're going through these other things. But this also got paired with the Universal Law deck, the law of reciprocity. Give without expecting anything in return. So I feel like you're kind of like, You're sort of this strong person already, but you're being reminded to embody that energy to be stronger, and that you're already the type of person that like gives without expecting anything, but they're saying to keep doing that. Like in situations where you're not sure if you should keep doing that, you know, it's kind of telling you to keep doing that, especially if you spend a little bit of time not doing that, where you used to do it before and now you don't, that it's time again to get back to work. And then also for underlying energy for the Akashic deck, we have the Akashic Library. This is card number 2, right? So the Akashic Library is like a higher self-awareness, right? It's an actual library, like somebody could literally be getting ready to write a book, but it also could be, you know, this when we're expanding our perception, everything that we could possibly expand our perception to is on a shelf in this library. It already exists, right? And then this law of attraction, embody the highest version of yourself. So I kind of feel like it's talking about your higher self and embodying your higher self. And I feel like there is like a little bit of a connotation of a relationship in this growth that it's talking about here. Well, I guess we did see the door to romance, but we also have the heart chakra on the table. But I was also going to say that a lot of times when we're focusing on a higher version of ourselves, we don't necessarily think about the relationship with the higher version. Sometimes we think about the relationship with the higher version, you know, if we're having like a bad relationship, we want a better version of our relationship that we have at the time. But this card is also saying that the law of attraction, to be the better relationship, to be that better person, so that you can have that better relationship, you attract that better person to have that better relationship with, kind of thing. It's a vibrational thing. That's what I'm speaking in right now. So it's kind of talking about being a higher version of yourself so you can attract somebody that's a higher version of themselves. And then we have 4th chakra, Archangel Raphael, so we have our heart chakra on the table. So we have the heart chakra on the table. We'll get back to that. We saw the door to romance already. So a door, I always say the door is not promised. You have to walk through it. We have woman holding a heart. I always say it could be man, could be a woman, could be holding anything. Doesn't have to be a heart. The fact that we have the heart chakra and the door to romance, though, I'd have to say there's something going on with this heart. We're going to have to figure out what's going on with her. And then I didn't even see this action card here. And then this garden and the gate. So the garden in the gate is like, she wants to go out. The abundance is outside the gate. She has the key around her neck. She hasn't left yet. Usually there's some kind of contemplation. When the garden and the gate and action show up, usually that means go through the gate. Go through the gate. You have the key around your neck. Nobody has to come. Those 2 cards are going to go together. These 3 heart cards are going to go together. We're going to see what else we can get to come out right now. Figure out what else we're doing. We got expanding and arc. This could be a relationship. This could be the manifestation of a relationship. I don't actually see any people on the table except for this heart chakra. Well, I mean, we have the garden and the gate. I've picked her up as a person before, but not really. I'm not picking up any persona necessarily. I think this could be like a relationship. Doesn't have to be romance, although we do have the door to romance on the table. Someone is supposed to take the leap. What else is going on here? What does Alice have to say? I would like 3 more cards, please. For Taurus from the Alice Wonderland deck. 3 more cards from Alice. Okay, well, doesn't mean anything necessarily. That did come out for Pisces. That's impossible things. We were talking about how they weren't really believing in impossible things. I mean, it might have been one of the scenarios. I'm going to go through this one more time and I'm going to pull 2. Okay. Oh. Okay. All right. Okay. They were more just needing to believe and to not get caught up in stuff in the past. Okay, I get this. Okay, all right. So this is after a breakup, this is impossible things. So this card is working through disbelief, imaginative leaps, fresh perspective. So in their reading, it was like the imaginative leaps, fresh perspective, kind of thing. For you, it's like working through disbelief, impossible things. You're believing, or you were believing in the past in impossible things. It might be one of the reasons why your heart chakra is on the table. We'll get back to that too. So nonsense is, it's time to talk sense. So somebody might have in the past either been talking sense, or you might have been perpetuating the stuff that they were talking. Again, it could be impossible things, but it's a whole separate card. So we have impossible, somebody's saying things that aren't true, and somebody's talking nonsense kind of thing. And then we have you can't go back to yesterday. So this is called be in the present, but this is kind of almost like a nostalgia card, like you wanting to kind of be in something that used to be, that is no longer. And I always talk about how, when we try to go back, we're not going back to the same thing, because you're different. First of all, it's the same person and you will get the same experience, but it could be worse than what you experienced last time. I always say, like, just going back doesn't necessarily mean that you're like doing it over again. I mean, you're doing it again, but it's almost like a continuation of when you were before, because if you haven't changed and the other person hasn't changed, then you're literally like continuing on. And you can start over again with somebody in the same pattern if you're the same person. So it just really depends on how you're looking at it, what you were conditioned to believe, whether or not you followed that, and how well, when you get out of it, that you adapt from that and realize the mistakes that you might have made to allow yourself to get to where you were, to that point where you weren't appreciative of, or to where you had to get out of it to get into something that you wanted, kind of thing. And so we'll just do wake up. It's your moment. So wake up is kind of like, there are signs, we don't see them. Maybe we do see them, but we're talking ourselves out of them. That might be why we need to expand our perception. It might not be necessarily that we have to think bigger. It might be that we have to think smarter, like more detailed, or, especially in a situation where we're trying to figure out what someone else is doing and it's something that we wouldn't necessarily do. It's really hard to kind of come up with that like conniving thing that they did or whatever, that, so we can help make sense of a situation. This right here, all in a golden afternoon, kind of tells me this is like you trying to have like a decent something with someone. Either you were before or you are now. You could be trying to have that by yourself now, if someone has exited and there's no one around right now. But this, I don't think that you actually have that now. I think you're thinking about moving towards it, because we have these here. So it's either a past relationship that wasn't so great, where you were trying to just do whatever you were trying to do, and then somebody came along and brought, impossible things and nonsense, to the point where you had to wake up and realize that you can't go back to yesterday. And then you have follow your own good advice, trust yourself, what is best for you. So a lot of times when we get out of something too, and we're thinking about going back to yesterday, we're kind of doubting that whatever decision that we made was the right decision, kind of thing. We might have already walked away and then been regretful of that in some capacity, thinking that maybe some situation could have played out a little bit different if we'd spent a little bit more time in it. It's possibility, but like I said, more likely that whatever situation would have played out, it would have been worse than what you were already going through. It would have deteriorated as time went by. This is use your time well. Make every moment count. So this kind of tells me too, like you're on divine timing, like when a situation is going on and it's getting to the point where it wants to end itself, it's going to do just that. It might not be you. You might not have total control. You might be so irritated that you might be ready to end it, but then somebody else might end it for you. And then you might feel like, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. Why did it end like that? It's because a lot of times if you let things go on too long, they will be ended for you. The universe will end it for you. You can blame that other person or whatever affected the change, but the ultimate deal is behind that is that you kind of knew it needed to be ended anyway. You might have even felt the need to do it yourself. And then when you didn't do it, when it happened, you kind of were like, hey. And also a lot of times I say that when it does happen and it's not within our control, we're not the ones that affected the ending. It can end in a way that we don't really want it to end, and we don't expect it, yes, because the timing is different. Timing is not what what we thought. If we were trying to do something first and then somebody ends it, obviously we're going to be caught off guard. But also just the idea of the fact that when it ends abruptly, it's going to be in a situation that we didn't necessarily create or want. So it's going to be what I call worse than if we would have just done it ourselves, kind of thing. And then on top of that, the whole reason why this thing does need to end, all these patterns need to stop, and we need to start expanding our perception and really looking things for what they are. We have time on the table 3 times, which means that things are either going too slow, you either need to take some kind of action to go forward into what you're doing, or the action has already been taken and you're kind of wallowing in the past before you're able to move forward again, trying to figure out if you should go through this gate. Meanwhile, we still have our heart chakra on the table, which might be us now feeling the way we do, but also because it's on the table, I feel like it might need to be healed or cleared or something. So there's that. And then we have the woman holding a heart. So this could be you, this could be someone else. You know, I kind of feel like this person is protecting their heart. So I don't know if it's you, if you're protecting your heart. I don't know if it's because somebody kind of threw you for a loop or came out of the blue and hurt you or made you feel like you shouldn't believe in certain things for yourself. But if you want to walk through the door to romance, you're going to have to be a little bit more open about like receiving, well, I was going to say the love from someone else. Because energetically, if you put a wall up, people are going to feel that. And you don't want to get that back. You have the law of attraction here. You're trying to attract what you're putting out. So if you're guarded, you're guarding your heart, and you attract somebody who's guarding their heart, and then you don't really like that, you're going to have to look at what you did there. Everybody's always looking for that one person, but I always keep in mind the possibility that multiple people could show up, right? That door to romance, like I said, it's not promised. You have to walk through it. So I'm getting the notion to tell you to expand your way of thinking from what you used to have to what you want, and then hold on to that. Aim towards that. Walk towards that. Think about what you do want, not what you don't want, right? Don't think about what happened yesterday, because then you're deciding your future on what happened yesterday. And it's a good possibility that you could bring the same patterns. You're a little bit out of time as far as being able to coast on that. It's going to become more and more uncomfortable, or it's going to become more and more destructive if we keep running these same patterns here. This pattern that's keeping us from you know, I keep wanting to say absolving for some reason. Evolving. All right. Okay. So we have the new moon in Capricorn, step up and lead. So this is usually like when we see something but nobody else sees it, we're supposed to be the ones that affect the change. And then this one is, so that's new moon. This is new moon in Pisces, attuned to the divine. So there might be a Capricorn, there might be a Pisces involved. And then we have new moon in Cancer, relax. So this could be for pretty much everyone. This could be the beginning of this situation that we're talking about right now. We know we have to roll up our sleeves. We know we have to get to work. We know we have to expand our consciousness. We may or may not know that we're on the right track, like we're heading towards whatever our true contract is. We might not know that. Very easy to be on some kind of path and not know if you're on that path. Law of attraction, we may or may not believe in it. The law of reciprocity, I don't think we believe in. I think we really need to embody this energy of this willow, this strong persona, this strong, stable tree, and realize that, you know, just keep giving. Don't give to receive. Give because you want to give. People will want to give to you. That's how that works. So don't give in situations where you don't want to give. But when you want to give, give. Don't think of reasons to not give. And give to yourself as well. And then for the Akashic records here, so you have the law of attraction. If you don't know how to use the law of attraction, or you don't believe in the law of attraction, then you probably need to wake up. You can help yourself a lot. just making situations that are funky in your life a little bit better just by knowing a little bit about the law of attraction. Embody the highest version of yourself is all you really have to remember right now, if that doesn't even appeal to you. But on top of that, you have this Akashic library, which again, any highest version of yourself that can come with anything that you want is in this library. You can also try to consult the Akashic library to find out anything about anything that's going on in your life, any life. There's books on how to do that. And like I said, you could be in the beginning, because I see 3 new moons on the table. So this past stuff you might know about, right? You might even know about the time constraints, but you may not know that this door of romance is here. You may not know that you're protecting your heart necessarily. You may not know that your heart chakra needs something. Again, if this isn't necessarily you as the stable person is coming towards you, this could be them. They might be on borrowed time, but you do definitely have something to learn here. And some of this stuff that we talked about, there is definitely a message for you here. If you're cross-watcher energy right now, I mean, at the very least, you need to relax. So Taurus, if this is your reading, meet us over in the extended. I want to pull the blind spot. I want to see what's going on. I want to see what's keeping us from being able to do these things. And the link will be in the description. And if you're not coming with us, like I said, the best thing that you can do is pay attention to your heart. Think about what you want. Think about what you want in a romance, and go from there, being yourself and looking towards that higher version of yourself, so that you can look towards that higher version of someone else. These things are possible, okay? And relax. So if this is your reading, meet us over at the extended. And if not, until we meet again,